Well, on the heels of at least 3,400 U.S. Forest Service workers being laid off late last week and over the weekend, many Idahoans took advantage of the President's Day holiday to protest the policies of, well, the current president. More than 150 stood on the main road in McCall to protest the layoffs from the Sawtooth National Forest. And in Stanley yesterday, a smaller number of protesters stood up to do the same thing. But the impact, of course, it is a smaller group. The impact there still felt the same in the Sawtooths. The interwebs have been crazy over the last several days. You probably have noticed, either on your social media or just on the internet in general, criticisms and celebrations of such moves. But what exactly might be the impact of dozens of probationary employees losing their jobs in Idaho's forests and recreation areas? To find out, well, we asked one of those employees. Claire Vergabi has only been working for the Forest Service for 10 months. So she's still well within her probationary period, which could go anywhere from a year to 2 years. But first, I think we need to understand what it means to be a probationary employee for the Forest Service. You have to understand that period can restart with every change of job. Switch to another office, that period begins again. Get a promotion, your probation starts over. So you could be a 16-year employee of the Forest Service, just moved into a new gig, and you're considered probationary. So Claire, who grew up in Salt Lake City, her family would vacation in the Sawtooths every year, so she loved it. She studied natural resources at the University of Montana while working a couple of seasons with the Sawtooth National Recreation Area. So this was her dream job, to move back and work in Stanley in the Sawtooths. Claire knew this layoff was coming when she went into work last week, but it was still hard to fathom when she learned of the 37 permanent employees in her office. 16 of them were being laid off. That's 43% of the office just gone. Claire's job was the administrative support assistant, which may not sound like much, but she tells us she and her coworker were responsible for all kinds of things, from coordinating keys to issuing permits to managing housing. She told us today there isn't anybody left above her to do those things. Most of the administration was fired. There's nobody to fill her job as the primary visitor services staff at the Stanley Ranger Station.
That means I was the person behind the desk if you walked in the door of the Stanley Ranger Station. I was the person answering the phone if you called and had a question. One of my favorite parts of the job was like when someone would call and be like, hey, I'm planning to come and like I want to do a really cool backpacking trip, but I've never been there before. Like, tell me, where should we go?
How much of that goes away then?
There's no one left. On the SNRA, every single visitor services position was terminated.
So if somebody were to call and ask that same question, hey, I've never been there, what can I do that's cool? There's nobody there to answer that question?
Our office is closed, and I can't say exactly what will happen. You know, I think everyone who's left probably this morning is facing that question you're asking right now. Like, are we going to be able to staff these offices? Are we going to be able to provide services to the public? I can't say for sure. You know, Stanley Ranger Station may or may not be open. I can't imagine it would be open to the same extent that it has been. Same with headquarters. And yeah, if you call the office right now, there's no one there to answer. You know, it's the very basic services that I think people expect when they want to go camping or they want to go on a hike or they want to go hunting. And I think those are essential if we are using our public lands.
And in Idaho, that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I love about this state and the people here is I think there's kind of a nonpartisan appreciation of our lands. A lot of us are outdoorsy, a lot of us are hunters, a lot of us are anglers. We are proud of the land in the state and we use it. I think there's a lot of stuff online and stuff about like federal employees and what we do and why we do it. And really, I just want to say that like this group of people are some of the most committed and passionate and hardworking people I've ever worked with. People are willing to do always above and beyond their job. That is the culture. We're used to being underfunded and understaffed, and people take on more, and they're happy to because we work here because we care about the land and we care about serving people, and we believe in the mission of the agency. And so, yeah, I think as people are considering what's happening and all of that, I just hope people remember that that's kind of has been a shared value for a lot of us, and that the people who are working in these positions, especially the low level ones, like we're here because of that.
Claire told us the majority of the people who lost their jobs were the ones that were cleaning the bathrooms, picking and packing up the tons of trash that was left behind, clearing trails, helping with fire mitigation. Claire says she's kind of lucky. She does have a second job in town. But in a town like Stanley with only 150 people, those other full-time jobs are pretty hard to come by. So she worries about what her fellow employees that lost their jobs, what they're going to do. Claire says possibly the worst part of the layoff, though, was the letter saying why she and thousands of others were let go. The letter says it was because of performance issues. But she says while it's easy to terminate probationary employees, or easier, there still needs to be a reason. And she told us of all her performance reviews over her 10 months of employment and seasonal jobs, every evaluation was either meets or exceeds expectations. So it wasn't about a performance issue. So that let go for performance issues, that's now on her permanent record, which might make it tough to get another Forest Service job should one open up. She and every other Forest Service employee we spoke with say, well, they believe this may not be the end of the cuts.